The father's justice. Matthew, don't look at me like that. Olivia said it the moment she stepped inside, her voice low but steady, like she still believed this was just another morning she could walk through without consequences. The door clicked shut behind her, soft against the quiet of the house. It was still early, too early for the sun to fully rise, the kitchen lit only by a pale gray glow coming through the window. She stood there for a second, holding her heels in one hand, a black sweater hanging loose on her shoulders, not hers. Her hair was slightly damp, her lipstick gone, but her eyes were bright, and she was smiling. Not nervous, not confused, just satisfied, like someone who thought they got away with something. I was already sitting at the table. I hadn't moved in hours. A cold cup of coffee rested between my hands, untouched. Right in front of me, a thick envelope, and beside it, a set of papers I had filled out before the sky even started to change color. I didn't say anything. I just watched her, the way she walked past me toward the fridge, like nothing had shifted, like the life we built was still standing exactly where she left it. It wasn't the fact that she had been with someone else that hit the hardest. It was that she came back smiling, like she had won something, like there was nothing to lose. Have you ever looked at the person you trusted most and realized they were already gone before you even knew something was wrong? I didn't react. I just watched. The black sweater on her shoulders wasn't something I had ever seen in our closet. It hung a little too loose, as it belonged to someone else. She kept her heels in her hand instead of putting them on the floor, careful with each step, almost instinctively quiet. Her hair was slightly tangled at the ends, strands clinging together, and the faint traces of makeup around her eyes had already worn off. But none of that matched her expression. Her eyes were alert, almost energized, like she had just come back from something that made her feel alive. She moved through the kitchen like it was any other morning, opened the fridge, reached for the orange juice, poured it slowly into a glass. No hesitation, no glance back at me, until she took a sip. "You're up early," she said, casual, as if the night behind her didn't exist. Everything about her actions was normal, and that was exactly what felt wrong. Over the past few weeks, I had noticed small shifts, late nights that didn't come with explanations, short answers where there used to be conversations, moments where she avoided looking directly at me, like eye contact required more effort than she was willing to give. Small changes, quiet ones, but they never happen without a reason. And standing there, watching her pretend nothing had changed, I started to wonder just how long this had really been going on. "You forgot to close your iPad." I said it evenly, without raising my voice. The words landed between us, quiet, but heavy. Olivia froze for a fraction of a second, just long enough for me to notice. Her fingers tightened slightly around the glass before she set it down on the counter. "I didn't even use it last night," she replied, too quickly, her tone shifting from casual to careful. "I didn't move." "You did," I said. "And you left everything open." I had already read it. Every message between her and Brandon Scott. The timestamps, the wording, and the way she confirmed the meeting like it had been planned days in advance. She told him where to go, what time to be there, even joked about finally not feeling guilty anymore. There was nothing rushed about it, nothing uncertain. It was deliberate. Olivia shook her head slightly. "You're twisting things," she said, but her voice didn't carry the same confidence. "You told me you were with Megan White," I continued, still calm. "So I checked." I let a short pause sit there. "She hasn't texted you in days." That was the moment something shifted. Olivia crossed her arms, then uncrossed them, like she couldn't decide how to stand. "So what, you went through my stuff?" she asked, trying to push the focus back on me. "I didn't have to," I replied. "It was all right there." I kept my pace slow, steady, laying out each piece without raising my voice, without filling the silence for her. This wasn't something that just happened in a moment. It had been arranged, step by step. And the more I spoke, the clearer it became. This wasn't a mistake she slipped into. It was something she had already decided long before last night. "I was drunk," Olivia said, her voice softer now, searching for something that would hold. She ran a hand through her hair, pacing a step away from the counter. I wasn't thinking clearly. It just happened. I just needed to feel something again. The words came out unevenly, like she was trying on different explanations to see which one fit best. I stayed where I was, didn't interrupt, didn't raise my voice. The kitchen felt still, the early light stretching slowly across the floor between us. "We've been distant, Matthew," she added, her tone sharpening slightly, as if she had found a direction. "You've been buried in work. You're never really here anymore. I felt like I didn't matter." She looked at me then, waiting for a reaction, something she could push against. I didn't give her one. "Feeling something isn't the same as doing something," I said quietly. "Those are two different choices." She exhaled, frustrated, shaking her head. "You don't understand what it's been like." "You weren't drunk when you planned it," I cut in, not louder, just clearer. The sentence settled in the air, precise and hard to move around. That was when she lost her rhythm. Her shoulders dropped slightly, her eyes flickering away before coming back to me. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," she said, but it sounded thinner now. I watched her try to hold on to the version of the story where she wasn't responsible, where it was about circumstances, not decisions. People don't start with apologies when they're caught. They start with reasons. And the more she spoke, the more I started to wonder which part of this she actually believed. I slid the envelope across the table, slow enough for her to see that I wasn't rushing anything. "Open it," I said. The paper made a faint sound against the wood as it stopped in front of her. For a second, Olivia didn't move. Her eyes stayed on it, like she already knew what was inside but didn't want to confirm it. Then she reached forward, fingers hesitating at the edge before pulling the flap open. The photos slipped out one by one. The first, a dimly lit bar, warm amber lights reflecting off glass. Olivia leaned in close to Brandon Scott, her hand resting lightly against his chest. The second, his arm around her waist, both of them laughing, faces relaxed, unguarded. The third, the entrance of a hotel, the glow from the lobby spilling onto the sidewalk as they walked side by side, close enough that there was no space left to explain. And then, the last one, the elevator doors half open, both of them stepping inside together. No hesitation. Olivia's hands stilled. She didn't flip to the next photo right away, just stared at the one in front of her, her breathing shallow. There was no denial this time, no quick explanation, just silence settling heavier than before. She finally looked up. "Did you follow me?" she asked, her voice barely holding steady. I shook my head. "No, you just didn't notice who was already there." The room went quiet again. Because once the truth is right in front of you, there's nothing left to argue. And the only question that remains is what comes after you can't deny it anymore. "I wasn't out of town," I said, keeping my tone level. "The meeting got pushed. I came back around 11. I nodded slightly toward the hallway, as the timeline mattered more than anything else. "You were already gone." Olivia blinked, trying to process it, but I kept going before she could interrupt. I told her exactly what I did. Not in a rush, not to prove anything, just laying it out. I walked into the kitchen, saw her iPad still open on the counter, the screen dim but active. I sat down, scrolled through the messages slowly, reading each line more than once to make sure I understood what I was looking at. Then, I picked up my phone and called Eric Dawson. He had been at the same place that night, close enough to see everything clearly. He didn't hesitate. He confirmed what I needed, sent what he had. No questions asked. After that, I printed the photos, one page at a time, the soft mechanical sound of the printer filling the silence of the house. What I didn't do mattered just as much. I didn't call you, didn't text, didn't drive anywhere to find you. I didn't try to catch you in the moment or force a confrontation before I understood it. I chose to stay, to sit in that chair, and wait, because reacting right away only gives away control, and I wasn't willing to lose that. Not when I still needed to see what you would do when you thought no one was watching. "You haven't cared about me for a long time," Olivia said, her voice rising just enough to sound certain, like she had finally found something she could stand on. She straightened slightly, crossing her arms as if that gave her ground again. "You were never here, always working. always somewhere else. I felt invisible. I looked at her for a moment, not reacting right away, just letting the words settle between us. The kitchen was quiet except for the faint hum of the refrigerator, the light shifting slowly across the counter. Then I stepped forward, not close enough to crowd her, just enough to make sure she heard me clearly. I might have been distant, I said. I might have missed things, but I didn't betray you. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out this time. There's a difference, I continued, my voice steady. Feeling hurt means you talk, you say something, you try to fix it. What you did. I paused briefly, not for effect, just to make sure the words were exact. That was a choice. Her shoulders dropped slightly, the tension in her stance slipping as she looked away, then back at me. The certainty she had a moment ago was gone, replaced by something quieter, something that didn't hold up as well under silence. Mistakes don't usually destroy something like this, not on their own. It's when someone decides to cross a line they know is there, and keeps going anyway. She took a small breath, like she wanted to argue again. But there wasn't anything left that sounded true enough to say. I reached into the drawer and took out the second envelope, thicker than the first, the edges still sharp from the printer. I placed it on the table beside the photos, aligning it carefully, as it belonged there. The paper made a soft, deliberate sound as it settled against the wood. Divorce papers. Sign them, I said. No raised voice, no hesitation, just a statement. Olivia didn't move at first. Her eyes shifted from the photos to the envelope, then back to me, like she was waiting for something to change. You're serious? She asked, her voice thinner now, the certainty gone. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her. Steady, unmoving. I thought, she started, then stopped, shaking her head. I thought we could talk about this. Fix it. Fix what? I asked quietly. She stepped closer, her hands slightly raised, unsure where to place them. Please, just give me a chance. Let me make this right. I exhaled slowly, not out of frustration, just to keep my words measured. You already made a choice, I said. This is just the result of it. Her expression shifted again, disbelief giving way to something heavier. So this is it? You're just ending everything? This isn't revenge, I replied. It's clarity. The room stayed still around us. No shouting, no sudden movement, just the quiet weight of something final settling into place. She looked down at the envelope again, her fingers hovering above it but not touching, like she was still deciding if this was real, or if there was anything left that could change it. I picked up my bag from the chair by the hallway, the zipper already closed, everything I needed inside. The house was still quiet, the early light stretching a little further across the floor now. I didn't rush. I walked past the table, past the envelope she still hadn't touched, and headed toward the front door. Matthew, wait. Olivia's voice came from behind me, softer this time, not trying to argue anymore, just trying to hold on to something that was already slipping. I paused for a second, my hand resting on the handle, but I didn't turn around right away. You don't have to do this, she said, her steps slow, uncertain against the floor. I looked back then, just once. You already did, I said. You just didn't expect me to see it this clearly. She stood there, not blocking the door, not moving closer, just watching, like she finally understood that nothing she said now could change what had already been decided. Trust doesn't disappear in a single moment. It fades in the times you choose not to question what feels off, in the silence you keep when something doesn't make sense. And betrayal, it's not an accident. It's a decision, made step by step, long before it shows itself. I opened the door, the cool air from outside cutting through the stillness inside. If you've ever stood where I stood, if you've ever had to choose between holding on and walking away, you already know this isn't about losing someone. It's about knowing when you've already been left behind. So tell me, what would you do if the person you trusted most walked back into your life, smiling, as if nothing had happened?